What are some of the opportunities in the market right now? We said, yeah, it's a tough market. We hear this a lot. There's a lot of negativity. But look, there are people who are still out there crushing it right now. What are some of those bright spots that you're seeing right now?
I think what is important for me and what is important for those who are considering, coming to this event is that you'll learn why now is not the time to be sitting on the sideline. I hear that's a predominant theme. Capital is sidelined or debt is tighter than ever. And it's, there's no cash flow right now. I hear these themes pretty consistently, and I'm not convinced they're true. And so this event is going to give you an opportunity to validate any of these assumptions, ideally turn them into fact, and then start developing some strategies, some unique market-informed strategies for finding those deals.
Thanks for joining us on another REI-NWA podcast. This is episode number 60, and we are going to be talking about a seminar coming to Northwest Arkansas that REI-NWA is hosting called Investing in a Tough Market, Building Success Through the Difficulty that we're finding in the market. And so very excited to get into that. As always, I am Coley Bailey, your host here with Lone Rock Realty. And let me introduce you to our guest today, Wes Craiglow. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Coley. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, Wes actually runs Skyline Association Management. He helps groups like REI all across the region, and they are helping us put this amazing seminar together and spread the word about it. And I, for one, am very thankful and grateful to have them working right alongside us to produce this.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm super excited to be here. Couldn't be more thankful to be part of the team for this event, Coley. And I'll take a minute to introduce myself a little bit more. Wes Craiglow. I am a city planner by trade, but have done a fair bit of economic and community development along the way. But Arkansas boy, born and raised, been in the region about 6 years now. And I came up to start a Urban Land Institute chapter. District council is what they're called. And some years later, that morphed into me realizing that I love supporting member associations, especially those that are committed to ensuring that cities grow in a way that maximize their potential. Through my experience at ULI and the growth that we achieved as a team there, I decided to branch out and support other member associations in the same built environment industries. And so we launched Skyline about a year ago. And so now we're helping other member associations in the real estate and city planning communities serve their missions and meet their goals. And so yeah, I am fully committed to helping cities be the best they can be, and all of the key stakeholders throughout all trades, all disciplines of the built environment industries achieve their career goals and strengthen their networks. And that's what brought us to REI-NWA. And that's what makes me so thankful to be an ally to Kathleen and this particular event and helping it achieve its maximum success and provide the most amount of value to the audience members there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit just about the background of why we are putting this on this particular seminar. We've seen the real estate investing environment getting tougher over the last several years. Let's talk a little bit about that environment that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, a lot's changed. We over the last 15 years in this country have been through some ups and downs, right? 15, 16, 17 years. We all remember the 08, 09 housing challenges, and then things got really good by the late teens. It couldn't have been better. We all went through the rapid price increases on land values and material and labor costs that existed over the last, the post-COVID era. And now here we are stabilizing with what a lot of people just call the new normal, right? And we just think these are going to be the conditions for a while. Interest rates are likely to remain higher in the coming years, and competition for good deals is tougher than ever, and cash flow's tight. I mean, many of our lenders here in this region have tightened their requirements, and that means that small investors in particular are finding it harder than ever to achieve success. You add to that, like, there's rising rent rates, but also rising are taxes, property taxes, insurance costs, maintenance and service expenses. It's really, this new normal is it's a significant change than where we were a short 5 years ago, headed into COVID, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was completely different conditions, and so we're excited. We think this is going to be an important conversation coming up next month at this event, and we think it's very timely because the market has shifted. There's a lot to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen prices basically double over the last 6 years here in Northwest Arkansas for sure. There are other markets around the country where prices are starting to come down. And so, there's a lot of question. Is that going to happen here? And, what are the downsides that we should be prepared for?
Mhm.
But then, of course, interest rates also doubled, right? And so the combination of those two things means, mortgage rates might even be triple what they were just a few short years ago. I mean, we've
I
seen
mean,
this even.
they
Yeah,
are, right? Like, I know
yeah,
that we refinanced in early or late 2020. I want to say, personally refinanced at like 2%. That's that's definitely triple in
yeah,
five
yeah.
years, right?
Well, and even not just the rate, but definitely the payment, right? So if you're trying to calculate cash flow and you're having to pay a payment that's you know double or triple what the older parts of your portfolio have, you're,
Mhm.
you're going, well, nothing cash flows right now. What do I do about this, right?
Right. Right. Well, I think that's one of the things that we want to talk about. I mean, short term, if you're thinking short term, the way that we could all afford to, pardon the pun, but we could afford to think short term rent, short term STRs, like Airbnbs were hot, interest rates were low, prices, the actual price for land and price per square foot was much more competitive then than it is today, and the short term was really remarkable. That's shifted, right? So short term may seem daunting right now, but the truth is, real estate is and has historically been a long term game, right? Deals are
Yeah,
still happening. Deals are everywhere, and all it means is that savvy investors have to adapt, right? It's about staying informed. It's about understanding the market conditions, staying informed, staying flexible, being financially resilient, right? Don't be too fragile, and don't be too married. Whatever was working 5 years ago is probably not going to be working today. So don't be too married to your strategies. Be willing to learn and adapt and adjust. And really, it's fundamentally about taking a long term position. But there's still plenty of deals out
yeah, and the fundamentals. You're right. The strategies change,
there. Hmm.
and the opportunities might be changing, right? So, for example, 2008 to 2012, a lot of foreclosures, right? That was a great opportunity at that time. We haven't seen that kind of opportunity, in like a decade.
Hmm.
So now maybe, who knows, that could come back.
Let's hope
But
not, because
let's hope not.
there will be some winners if there's a crash, but there'll be a lot more losers than there are winners. So
Right.
we don't want to face that challenge again. We can be successful without a major bottom
Yeah. Now, like, as investors, if the stock market falls, you want to buy when it's low. If
fall.
if foreclosures did happen and prices fell and things like that, or just some off market foreclosure deals became available again,
Hmm.
that is an opportunity for investors. Obviously, we don't want to see that happen across our country, and and we're not hoping for disaster, but investors can help communities through a
That's
lot
right.
of these difficult times by taking distressed properties and turning them back into, beautiful, fully serviced properties that can either be rented
Hmm.
or sold back into the general market. And,
That's right.
it's the ebb and flow of the market, right?
That's
And
exactly
so,
that's exactly right. And I'll put my city planner hat on real quick. We're positioned here in Northwest Arkansas, with high comparable advantage to some of these other markets. So I think the insurance industry, the homeowners insurance industry, is likely to to really alter opportunities in Florida and California along those coasts and where wildfires are a hazard. I think the droughts, the water shortages, and the water wars, I've heard them called out west, that'll be injecting a lot of change into the desert Southwest in the decades to come. And I think property taxes in Texas are through the roof. We just know the costs in New England and further out west on the coast in those coastal regions. The costs are just have been for a generation incredibly high. I think the heartland here, as we've heard it called, this lower Midwest heartland area, really you draw a line. I like to say you draw a line from DFW all the way to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And this region of the country, we're not affected by changes in climate. We're not affected by increased likelihood of storms. We're not affected by drought. We are affected. We do have the impacts, greater severity and likelihood of flash flood and significant storm events. We will see, as I was meeting with a professional in the insurance region or insurance market last week, and he was like, yeah, the tornado alley's shifting right, and the risk is underwriters are adjusting for that. So we're not untouched by these changes, but largely we're still very cost competitive. Some of the big macro industry changes that are going to affect the Sun Belt and have affected the coasts won't really touch us in that way. And so for our region, I'm confident, and we're not oversupplying. I just read an article about Austin yesterday that 20% of all condos in downtown Austin are vacant, right? So we have not achieved anywhere close to being oversupplied on housing right now in Northwest Arkansas. As a matter of fact, we're just marginally keeping up with it. And so I think we are positioned we're in a strong position comparably to other markets for, I would say, the remainder of our professional careers. I don't see and I don't hear anybody talking about indicators for concern at this time.
Right. Yeah. No, I think Northwest Arkansas is really positioned well for growth. We have a lot of people continuing to move here for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. And and we see a lot of opportunity here. Quality of life is still incredible.
It is.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's talk about this seminar coming up. So it's going to be on, looking at my notes here, it's going to be April 12th.
That's right.
And it's going to start at 8:30, get registration going, and kick off at 9. And it'll be an all-day event going to 4:30. It's going to be packed with tons of information, all about, what do we do in the short term and how do we get prepared for that long-term outlook that you're talking about?
Yeah, for sure. We're excited about the content for the day. I think there's really like 4 or 5 key themes that we're going to cover. I'll give a little bit of a forecast here. I'll give you a peek behind the curtain, and you're going to have to come to the event to get the rest of it. But what you're going to expect to hear, like, we're going to understand the market. Like, really, what are the conditions right now that are driving opportunities and challenges? How do you find those opportunities in a tough market like this? Like, what are the strategies for scratching the surface and seeing those properties that are hidden gems? What is your investment strategy? Right, we're gonna have a session about strategies and hear from some masters that are making it happen and how they're getting it done. We want to talk a lot about the infrastructure, as Kathleen likes to put it. What is your infrastructure, systems and processes? What is the foundation? Is it resilient? I used that word before. Resilient partners, resilient mentors, resilient financial position, right? So how are you positioned for a strong foundation? And then we're going to talk about negotiating deals. Like, how do you analyze them? What is the pro forma work that you should be reviewing in these market conditions? What are the realistic expectations that come out of that pro forma in these market conditions? And then very importantly, how do you negotiate that deal? So those are 4 or 5 key themes that we're going to be talking about at this event. And I think it's going to add a ton of value to all of these attendees. If you want me to, I can talk a little bit more, maybe give you a little deeper of a peek on a few of those. But I'll pitch it back to you in case you have any questions on them.
Yeah, well, let's talk about who we've created this seminar for.
Sure.
I mean, really, who should be having their ears perk up right now and thinking, oh, you know what? This might be a day that I could spend that could really get me information that would significantly improve my life,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
significantly impact my investing both now and in the future. Just to hear from some of these experts that are frankly crushing it right
Yeah.
now, even in this market.
You got it. Well, it's primarily for investors, right? But like I kind of stratify which investors. So new investors that are straight up rookies, maybe trying to figure out how to do their first deal, to maybe those that are that are experienced, right? That have gotten over the hump, that have some sets and reps under their belt, but also those masters, advanced and masterclass investors who are just, looking to make those marginal gains that are the difference between goodness and greatness, right? So with new investors, you can expect to learn the fundamentals, right? Gain a solid foundation and learn how to avoid costly mistakes. You're going to learn how to develop a clear strategy, and you're going to do some networking, right? You're going to get to not just hear people who have the expertise and years or decades of experience, but you're going to get to meet them and hang out and spend a day with them. For more experienced investors, this is where you get a better sense, a deeper sense of what's going on in the market and what does that mean to your strategy, right? Maybe a lens through which you can see new opportunities. And then, of course, the networking piece is just as critical there. But again, marginal gains for the masters in the room. Like, we never stop learning. It doesn't matter what we choose to do as a career path or as a side hustle. If this is a side hustle to our primary career, even if you've been doing it for decades successfully, we always learn. We need to never stop learning, and that's true for all of us. So fine tuning, I would say, would be the takeaway for those masters in the room. Better than that, you get to share, right? This is a place for you to position yourself as a mentor. And so whether Kathleen knocks at your door and says, want you to speak, or you just get to hang out in sidebar conversations or in the back of the room, you get to share your knowledge and pay it forward to some of the early investors in the room. I want to make sure that I also add a couple of other key groups to this piece of dialogue here, Coley, and that is service providers and real estate agents. So service providers, if you guys aren't coming to REI-NWA, if you haven't purchased a membership and you're not attending REI-NWA events right now, you're truly missing out. I'm looking at contractors, inspectors, property managers, lenders, insurance agents, more. Like, these investors that you will get to network with are active in the industry. These are your clients and customers, and events like this are going to attract ones that are serious, that are ready to put money into their endeavors, and they need service providers like you to help make them more successful. This will enhance your long-term business growth, and it'll give you a chance to network with folks who are active. Better than that, like one deeper, it'll help you understand their needs, right? So if you're a service provider, and you want to break in and build relationships with the investors, with the investor class, they're going to have different needs than a typical homeowner might. Definitely going to have different needs than some of your commercial clients might. So it'll give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the needs of investors. And then the real estate agents, guys, they're looking for deals, right? This is teed up. So whether they're looking to offload a property that's not performing, or these investors are looking to onboard a property that's a hidden gem, they depend on the real estate agents of this region to be their partner. It's like radar. It's like the intel section, right? Because agents, way more than anybody about where the market's moving, what sort of strategies might be working, and this event will allow you to stay ahead of changing market trends as well. That's just going to enhance your career. So those are the big three: the investors, the service providers, and the real estate agents. And if this is your first time ever coming to an REI-NWA event, I think you're gonna gain a lot, and it won't be your last.
Yeah, definitely. Service providers and agents as well. The more you understand about what the investors are dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
and what service you can bring to help them through challenging times, or through thriving times as well. But when you start to understand that investor mindset, it's really going to help you service those clients to another level.
That's exactly right.
Let's talk a little bit about What are some of the opportunities in the market right now? We said, yeah, it's a tough market. We hear this a lot. There's a lot of negativity, but look, there are people who are still out there crushing it right now.
Yeah.
What are some of those bright spots that you're seeing right now?
Well, I'm no longer in the investor. I've owned rentals in the past. I'm no longer there, so it's hard for me to tell you with confidence where those hidden gems are, where those rich opportunities exist. You'll hear from speakers at this event, and you will learn. I think what is important for me, and what is important for those who are considering coming to this event, is that you'll learn why now is not the time to be sitting on the sideline. I hear that's a predominant theme. Capital is sidelined, or debt is tighter than ever, and it's there's no cash flow right now. I hear these themes pretty consistently, and I'm not convinced they're true. And so this event is going to give you an opportunity to validate any of these assumptions, ideally turn them into fact, and then start developing some strategies, some unique market informed strategies for finding those deals. So what is the relationship between long term and short term in a portfolio today? Is there a priority? Is there a preferred path forward on short versus long term? How do you do lead generation? Right? Like it's probably a pretty patient game. Kathleen was recently sharing with me in a meeting how she generates leads. She's got some tips and tricks that I thought were brilliant, and it's a patient, invested, but very intentional and deliberate methodology for generating leads, so that they can bubble up and those opportunities can come find you when they're ready. Building your network, like there's off-market deals happening all the time. And again, back to having the right relationships in a network, especially with those real estate agents, like having people, your intel section, all your spies out there with an ear to the ground that are keeping you in mind and looking for some of those off-market deals. And then I would say, like, creative financing. We're just in a space right now where there may not be simple capital stacks. There could be more complex, interesting, I would say, capital stacks. Doesn't mean it has to be scary or difficult. It just means you're the capital and the financing that you're going to need to carry in to make some of these pro formas work out for you and your style of investing. It just may be a little bit more interesting, somewhat creative. So I think that. What else is on my mind? I think at this moment, it might be a good time to think about, like, what are the motivations? What's bringing you into the market? What is your risk tolerance? I'm looking forward to exploring risk in the course of this day, and then helping folks really evaluate what capacity they have, what resources they can bring, uh, and again, back to those strategies. How are they most effectively leveraged with these current market conditions?
Yep. Absolutely. It's going to be an incredible day. Really looking forward to it. Again, just want to recap. This is our seminar on building success in a tough market. It's going to be April 12th. It's going to be at the Hyatt House in Rogers. If you've been to any of our main meetings recently, that's the location that we'll be holding it. It's going to be a Saturday. It is, again, going to be kicking off at 9, so get there a little bit early for registration, 8:30 to 9, and then we're going to go all day, 9 to 4:30, action packed, full of information that should have a huge impact on you and your business. And so, Wes, where can people find more information about this and potentially go ahead and get registered?
For sure. So thanks for hitting high points there. April 12th, Hyatt House in Rogers. Registration starts at 8:30, and this thing's going to go right through 4:30. It's going to be loaded with content all day, so buckle up. Stay tuned to REI-NWA.com. You'll see the registration page populate on the REI-NWA webpage or website very soon with further details. Also, stay tuned to any social media. And of course, Coley, I think you mentioned you're going to put some details in the show notes of this episode. I encourage everybody to attend. Like, if you're serious about building success as an investor in the industry today, this is an important event to be at. Don't be sidelined. And that's my fundamental takeaway. That'll be my closing comments, if you'll allow it, Goldie. Like, this is not a time to be on the sideline. The market favors the prepared. And so being at this event will help you prepare. take the time to learn and adapt and stay in the game. It may be a longer term investment in these current conditions, but it's no less successful than it has been in any other moment in history. This event is going to give you the network introductions and the information you need to thrive, even in this tough market that we're currently facing today. Tough might not even be the right word. It's just a different market that we're facing today. So again, I encourage everybody to be there. Don't be on the sideline. I hope to see you there on April 12th. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Wes. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for sticking with us and watching through this one. Again, you got to come out to this event. It's gonna be incredible. We're putting it on for people like you, for people that have been listening to this podcast for over a year now, and coming out and supporting REI at our weekly programs. Come out to this one because we are putting so much into this one for you guys. Can't wait for you to see it. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll catch you on the next one.